guys, what's up? Killjoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. You thought I was going to say something clever related to the movie. Well, nope, I don't think this one quite deserves that. Today we're going to count down all the things wrong with the movie Countdown that just came out this past weekend. But first I'm going to need you guys to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Now let's get into the review. Countdown to me is the epitome of everything wrong with horror movies from this past decade. The 2010s started off strong in my opinion, with movies such as Paranormal Activity and Insidious dominating the horror box office. Shortly after that, the Conjuring universe was created, spawning its millions of sequels. We've seen so many jump scares at this point, they're all just the same thing and they just kind of blend together in a grayish kind of fashion. This decade will be remembered as the decade of jump scares, and not always good ones, unfortunately. This movie heavily relied on them and just failed to scare in any way, shape, or form. There's not enough creepy CGI in this world to scare me, Hollywood. This film is also put together really weird. You can just feel how rushed it was. One of the main characters is introduced halfway through the movie and has an entire backstory they try to throw in last second, and long story short, it ends up killing him. The dude doesn't really have any point in being there besides being Quinn's love interest, which really served nothing for the plot. But let's talk about some positive things. The film has two of the most ridiculous and hilarious side characters I have ever watched in a horror movie. PJ Byrne and Tom Segura, they steal this show with some of their ridiculous lines of dialogue that was so unexpectedly funny. Tom Segura plays a techie who tries to fix Quinn's phone. I actually found this character really funny and thankful he saves this film about a half hour in that honestly, at this point, I was just about to walk out of the theater. Now hold on to your balls because it's about to get nutty. PJ Burns plays a young hipster priest, a mashup of stock characters I can honestly say I've never really seen before in a film. He portrays this guy in one of the weirdest, excitatory ways I have ever seen someone play a character. I gotta commend both of these guys for being my one and only reason not to walk out of this movie. Now let's talk about some useless side plot. Quinn works at a hospital and finished her degree to become a doctor. So one of the other doctors, who's a little more touchy-feely than he should be, gets up in her grill in a really uncomfortable shot. He later ends up calling a meeting saying she cornered him in his office and tried to make advances on him like the sour piece of crap that he is. Now don't worry, the side plot does end happily. I mean, not for Dr. Sullivan, who of course goes to jail and loses his license, but it didn't have anything to do with the plot. They try and kill the guy later on, figuring out it will break the curse, but what ends up happening, spoiler alert, Quinn shoots herself up with a bunch of morphine, killing herself. Afterwards, her sister looks at her arm, sees that there's a little Sharpie marker spot, and shoots her up with some Nican, bringing her back to life. All that setup had nothing to do with the plot. Why was it even in there? The answer? Movie filler. Now, I could have lived with all that junk and given this movie a solid 5 out of 10 and called it a day, but then there's the ending scene. Quinn and her family go to her mother's grave to lay some fresh flowers down, and then we see a very quick shot of the sister's phone. She says, "Oh, Dr. Sullivan got in trouble, blah, blah, blah." Then she looks down at her phone for a last-minute stupid stinger scare. Her phone goes, "Countdown 2.0 has just been downloaded." I threw up in my mouth at that part. The movie didn't have the balls to kill a kid, but it did kill any and all enjoyment I might have gotten from this movie after that scene. I honestly can't think of a cheaper go-f***self ending to a film. Oh wait, I forgot about the mid-credits scene of this movie. We see Tom's character on a Tinder date, and suddenly his countdown goes to 0 for no reason and he gets attacked. It was, instead of a stinger scare, we got a stinger laugh. So I guess that's just kind of bizarre to me. I think this movie was trying to be scary, but then they saw the final product and they were like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Let's just throw some comedians in there and say to hell with it. For what this movie is, I didn't hate it. I was just disappointed. I'm gonna give Countdown a solid 3 out of 10. That's a little better than the Rotten Tomatoes score, at least, that was at 25%. And I only give it higher than that because of those awesome side characters that kind of saved this film. The movie makes the same mistakes that past 2010s films have made, and I just have no sympathy for it at this point. I've been talking a lot about films I liked, so here's one I didn't love too much. Hopefully you people who like some super negative reviews will like this one. Thanks for watching me rip apart the movie Countdown. If you haven't subscribed yet, you're kind of an idiot and kind of a jerk, so make sure you like this video, and don't forget to follow me at KilljoyJake1 on Twitter. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.